Let's jump right in. Welcome back. If you're a focused learner trying to cut through the noise and get straight to the facts, you are in exactly the right place. Today's explainer is a fascinating deep dive into the split personality of modern geopolitical conflict. On one hand, we've got the shadowy, incredibly fast-paced world of digital information warfare, and on the other, the stark, lethal reality of kinetic border defense. It's literally a tale of two entirely different battlefields, and we're going to break down why understanding both is absolutely crucial to grasping modern global security. So, here is our agenda for today. 1. Two fronts of security. 2. The $10 million defection rumors. 3. History of aircraft defections. 4. Attack on Razmak Post. 5. The evolving drone threat. And finally, 6. Future border security needs. Section 1. Two fronts of security. Navigating state narratives and border realities.
Moving into Section 2. The $10 million defection rumors. Analyzing the viral claims.
Okay, so to really understand modern conflict, we have to look at what happens online just as much as what happens on the ground. Recently, Indian state-affiliated media platforms have been aggressively pushing this viral claim, a staggering $10 million bounty for Pakistani pilots to defect with their advanced J-10C fighter jets. Now that sounds like a blockbuster movie plot, right? But the reality is far less cinematic. According to the source material, this is effectively a cyclical, psychological operation. It's a carefully timed media stunt designed to create buzz for a week, slowly fade away, and then get recycled months later. Practically speaking, it has zero feasibility.
I mean, think about it. You can't just hand someone a briefcase full of cash and expect them to casually fly a state-of-the-art jet across a highly hostile border. No way. These environments are intensely monitored by strict ground intelligence networks. You combine that kind of surveillance with a high degree of pilot professionalism and a deeply ingrained nationalistic spirit among the personnel, and well, a cash for jets defection becomes virtually impossible to pull off in the real world. Which brings us to Section 3. History of aircraft defections. Geopolitical precedents.
Now, even though the current rumors are mostly just media spin, the concept itself is actually rooted in some astonishing historical realities. Back in 1966, Israel's Mossad actually facilitated the defection of an Iraqi pilot flying a MiG-21, purely so they could study it against their own mirages. We saw similar high-stakes moves in 1971 with a failed Indian defection attempt involving Rashid Minhas. And during the Afghan Jihad era, Pakistani intelligence successfully acquired several Afghan aircraft, including Mi-8s and Su-7s. Some of these are literally sitting in museums today. So yeah, these wild operations do happen, but they require extraordinary high-conflict environments, not just a viral hashtag.
All right, let's shift gears. Section 4. Attack on Razmak Post. A shift to ground reality.
You know, the fog of war is incredibly thick in these remote regions. Let me break down a timeline for you. Initially, the militant group TTP claimed they conducted a fatal drone strike on August 1st at the Razmak Post in North Waziristan. But within 12 hours, the real story emerged. It wasn't a drone strike at all. It was a heavily coordinated ground ambush. The outcome was intense and tragic. A Pakistani major was martyred in the initial assault before security forces fiercely retaliated, ultimately neutralizing 5 militants.
This isn't some theoretical war game we're talking about here. These are remote outposts with limited manpower facing overwhelming odds. As the source describes, surrounded on all sides with limited ammunition and personnel, the soldiers at the post fought with immense bravery against the ambush. It's a really stark reminder of the sheer human grit required to hold these isolated lines of defense, and exactly why understanding these ground realities is vital for anyone following global security.
Looking at how tactics are shifting. Section 5. The evolving drone threat. Militants gaining air power. So while the Razmak attack was ultimately a ground ambush, that initial drone claim brings up a vital question that intelligence agencies are currently scrambling to answer. Where on earth is this advanced equipment coming from, and who is funding it? The United States didn't exactly leave behind fleets of operational high-tech drones when they exited the region, so how are groups like the TTP gaining access to this kind of capability? Terminology really matters here, so let's clarify. In the context of the Razmak attack, the source notes the TTP utilized a quadcopter. They didn't use it to drop explosives, but rather for surveillance and espionage, basically gathering crucial localized ground intelligence to map out their ambush. Now, this is very different from kamikaze drones, which possess actual offensive strike capabilities. That's a technology that groups like the Afghan Taliban are reportedly now actively utilizing for kinetic strikes.
This is a highly concerning escalation.
Think about it. Just 5 or 6 years ago, these militant proxies were heavily relying on basic rifles, or maybe captured ground equipment like laser rangefinders. Today, they are wielding localized air power for major tactical advantages. This is a real game changer. It fundamentally alters the entire geometry of the battlefield for the soldiers on the ground, essentially turning a two-dimensional defense into a three-dimensional nightmare.
Which leads us to our final point. Section 6. Future border security needs. Adapting to asymmetric threats.
To survive this new reality, military outposts require immediate strategic upgrades. The source lays out some strict recommendations. First, there is an urgent need to deploy anti-drone networks in highly contested areas to blind that aerial surveillance before an ambush can even begin. Furthermore, as we saw at the Razmak Post, remote outposts must see a massive increase in provisions and ammunition. They simply cannot afford to be undersupplied when surrounded. And ultimately, sustaining long-term counterterrorism resources is no longer optional. Without them, further tragic losses are inevitable.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. As militant proxies gain access to localized air power, how must traditional border defense evolve to prevent the next asymmetric threat? The battlefield is no longer just in the dirt, and is certainly no longer just on social media. It is in the airspace directly above our most vulnerable outposts. Understanding this dynamic is absolutely crucial. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep asking questions, focus on the facts, and I'll see you in the next explainer.